So in this review, I'll be checking out the Car TV Mate from Ottocast. This is a relatively simple dongle for your CarPlay display, in which it basically allows you to plug in a TV streaming device such as an Amazon Fire Stick, a Google Chromecast, as well as an Apple TV. You just simply plug it in to the HDMI port in the actual adapter itself, and then you can control the actual box itself using the supplied remote that comes with the device and control and view it on your CarPlay display. Okay, so that's the summary. Let's check out what's inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a quickfire user manual that tells you how to connect the device and how to update it. You get the Car TV Mate itself with its attached tethered USB-A cable. And if you have a more modern car with a USB-C port, you get a USB-A adapter to simply connect to the tether cable for more modern CarPlay vehicle ports. Looking over the adapter then, it's very similar in size of its U2 Air device in both its thickness and its general size. Got some Ottocast branding up top and a status indicator light at the bottom. Half of the top case is textured to add a little bit of variety to the casing. And on the bottom end, you've got the HDMI input port for connecting to your chosen streamer device, games console, karaoke machine, or whichever HDMI device you'd like to plug into here. And then you've got a USB-A port, which is mainly used for updating the dongle using a USB drive. It's not very good with its power, so you can't plug the adapter's power into here unless you've got a suitable power coming into the actual adapter itself. Nothing else really to write home about on any of the other sides other than a fairly long cable, just over about 50 centimeters in length. It's braided, so it's definitely going to last the test of time. I don't really know why this has to be this long. I can only assume that it's to allow you to reach the device that you wish to plug into it, but seeing that this is aimed at a Chromecast or an Amazon Fire Stick, it's going to be pretty much plugging into here and not really a games console that you might have in the back seat of a car, for example. But then these devices do need to be powered, so you do have to have some kind of reach ability for the adapter, so you can actually not only get power, but also connection into the HDMI port as well. It is aimed at only cars with wired CarPlay, so it will not work if your car only works with Android Auto. And you can plug in anything from Fire Sticks, Google Chromecast, Apple TVs, and the Roku. That's what it's mainly aimed at. But then you do have the opportunity to plug in a games console, karaoke machine, DVD player, and set-top boxes. Anything basically that uses an HDMI connection to output its display. It does seem to handle copy protection very well. Usually when you plug in a TV streamer, they do have lots of hardware encrypted or copyrighted blockers in the actual HDMI side of things. They've seemed to work around this, and so far I've been successful with a Google Chromecast as well as a Amazon Fire Stick. But I'll be demoing all these later on in the video, so keep watching as I see what can be run through this adapter. It supports outputs from 720p all the way up to 2K at 60 Hz, and its HDMI port supports up to version 1.4, and that's pretty much it really. It doesn't really do wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. It's specifically tailored just to connect an HDMI device to your CarPlay display. Okay, so that's basically the crux of what this adapter does. Let's jump in the car and see what we can connect up to this HDMI adapter and see what we can actually get running on our CarPlay display. So I'll see you over there. Right, so we're in the Golf and we've got our system all fired up here, ready for a CarPlay connection. We've got the Ottocast Car TV Mate here. Let's get this plugged in and see how fast the boot time is. I'm going to plug it in now. And we're in. So that's less than 10 seconds. So that's really impressive. We're onto the main menu, which is basically the most simplest main menu you can get, really. Telling us what the Wi-Fi ID is so we can connect to it and update the dongle. But that's pretty much it. So the next thing is to connect the TV streamer or any HDMI device that we want to connect into this plug socket here. So I've got a Amazon 4K Fire TV stick here with its HDMI output port. This cable here, which is needed to actually power the stick, that's connected to a 12-volt adapter that's down in the middle here. So that's now giving it power. And we're basically going to connect this to the box here like that. And we're straight into the Amazon interface. Right, so we're into the menu interface, which is basically now the whole entire HDMI TV experience on your CarPlay display. So with that, we can go home, which is a little bit more smaller resolution, and we can go nuts now. We can do whatever we like. We can check out some video. So that's obviously not working for Ultra HD, so we need to go out of this and go into settings and turn all that kind of stuff off. So unfortunately it doesn't allow us to do any touch input. Everything is done through the remote control. The only touch input you do have is to go full screen if it's not a certain ratio, and if you hold it down it will go back to the system menu, so you can get a quick easy out back to your car system if you want to have that. So we're going to go into the options, and under display we're going to change the display resolution from automatic to, let's do 1080p, confirm that, and everything else we'll do adaptive for now. And then we're going to go home and that should now be applied. So if we go into Fallout again, and that's better. So drop the resolution, that will then help with the compatibility of your CarPlay display, because we were trying to basically push 4K Ultra HD, which obviously no CarPlay display does. And that's it basically. So we've got full on Amazon Prime, iPlayer, anything else experience. Now the only caveat is internet connection. If you do plan on using this away from home, you will need an internet connection, and obviously to do that you'll just go into the settings again, go into the network, and if I turn my personal hotspot on, you can see my iPhone Pro here. So we're now connected to my phone, and now we can just drive around and have this playing out, or ideally not whilst you're driving, but say you're in a EV environment, you've got an EV car, you want to watch something and your EV doesn't have the ability to display apps such as YouTube and things like that, or allow casting, you can plug this into your CarPlay port and watch your films, content, even a bit of gaming. Let's try a bit of gaming. And audio comes out of your car speakers, nice and good. And if you've got like a surround sound system, it might utilize that as well perhaps. And the games run pretty well on it. It's pretty rapid. I'd say the frame rate's probably not as good as an AI box. These Fire Sticks do run about sort of 1 gigahertz kind of speeds in their CPU, so they'd probably be not as beefy as an AI box is. But the experience, you could give this remote control to someone at the back and then they could browse and play games from the back seat, for example. So again, Netflix runs pretty well, hopefully too. Let's test out some audio sync.
The overtake on Valtteri created this spark and this tension between the two of us.
That sounds all good. Lip sync in perfect sync there with my car speakers, and you've got stereo as well coming out from the left and right hand channels of that particular scene. All good here. So let's just try one more thing, YouTube. So again, YouTube, you can just browse around here and fire away. I'm just going to show you for the first time how quickly these adapters can connect if you've got auto start on unlocking of your car. So that's if your system supports. That all sounds good to me as well. Quality is a little bit fuzzy, but I think that's just down to what I've got it set to here. We'll get these adapters up and running. Yeah, it's running at 480p, so we'll back it up to 1080p. So I've got the Right wireless adapter already plugged into my USB port in the car. I'm going to show you the whole... Yeah, that sounds good to me. Improve the sharpness there with the 1080p setting, and that should run throughout afterwards with other videos. So looks great, in sync, perfect there. Okay, so let's try another device. We've got a Google Chromecast. So we're going to plug this in. It's also powered via a USB-C cable into the 12-volt port. No problems there. Google TV firing up, and there we have it, into the Google TV menu. And here we got the remote control here, and we can just basically browse away. And let's go into YouTube again. So now into YouTube, browsing the same display, and the resolution and everything works really nice. It's all readable. Boots up your system and your USB power, which will get these adapters up and running before you almost turn the key. So that sounds good as well. I say again, like the Fire Stick, the sync is just slightly off in the between the speakers and what you see on the screen. AI box is a little bit worse, I reckon. So for the YouTube experience, at least through these interfaces using the remote control, is actually a really nice way to go about doing it. Now let's go back home, fire up Netflix, let's check out the audio sync.
The overtake on Valtteri created this spark and this tension between the two of us.
Again, good quality, in sync, stereo, sounds great. Happy with that. So that's it pretty much. You can just connect any particular HDMI device. It could be a console, DVD drive and things like that. But it's really aimed at the TV streamers, Roku, Google, Amazon Fire Sticks and things like that. Simply plug it in. They're not very power hungry, so you can actually run it off a 12-volt USB port in the car if you've got a spare one to power it. Otherwise, you can use something like this, like a power brick, and it'll run it no problem off that as well. Then there's the internet connection, which you can just provide it from your phone, and you can watch stuff whilst away from a Wi-Fi source as well. If your car actually has Wi-Fi, then happy days, you can just connect to that. You can roll out any connection to any hotspots. So I'll quickly show you what you can do when you actually connect to the Wi-Fi network, all the 8s. And then once you're connected, go to your browser, and then once you're in here, basically you can then restore factory settings, change the audio streaming mode, and do the delayed start if you have any compatibility issues with running the dongle on your CarPlay system, as well as update the adapter as well if there's any updates in the future to fix any bugs with other platforms that might use the HDMI port. So the Car TV Mate retails for $79 US at the moment from their store, and if it sells on Amazon, I'll leave links to that also down below, so you can learn more about this adapter, support the channel, and buy yourself one. Overall, really good adapter if you're just looking for an HDMI interface to play on your CarPlay display and completely rule out anything like AI boxes and things like that. Personally, I think they really missed a trick here. They could have put a wireless CarPlay and Android Auto functionality into this box, because you could have an overriding switch between HDMI and the wireless function, and then you could have a box that does everything then. But I do feel, being just an HDMI receiver of some sort for this functionality, I just think they could have just added that extra. You've got the Wi-Fi in there already, so it does have the hardware probably to do this, but they just decided not to include any functionality to do with wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. And I think that would have been an additional value add on top of just the HDMI functionality. So you just buy one device and not have to worry about 2 separate devices to get you both functionalities. But for $79, possibly cheaper in potential sales in the future, it's actually not a bad adapter. We've seen it tackles the Fire Stick and Google Chromecast no problem. So if you do prefer to use a remote control, or perhaps you don't even have a touch interface, or a knob based or dial based interface that you don't really get along with, or you just like to give the remote controls back to someone and let them control the entertainment, then this is actually a really good solution over the AI box route of watching YouTube or Netflix on your CarPlay display. Now, there is no wheel controls other than your own volume controls to interact with this. So there is that, and there's no touch input. You can't actually touch any of this other than exit and change the screen format, which you wouldn't obviously get with an AI box. You would get all that functionality on top of wireless CarPlay and Android Auto functionality as well. So it really comes down to what your preferences are and what you want out of this adapter. But as an HDMI adapter, it ticks all the boxes for me. So if you are looking for some solution like this, then definitely check out the Ottocast TV Mate. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. Give us a thumbs up if it has, and let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions about this Car TV Mate from Ottocast, and I'll do my best to answer them, you can send us a super thanks to support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.